The issue is the agents are still trying to get somebody who promised them they're going to buy 8 months ago, and they're still sitting on the sidelines, and that agent is paralyzed, and they're like, oh, I don't have a plan B. No, you do have a plan B. Plan B is get more leads.
Hello and welcome to episode 118 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Alan Kushmakov, founder and CEO of Best Homes Real Estate based out of Arizona. First entering the real estate industry in 2013, Alan found success with expired listings and holding open houses to bring in new leads. Fast forward to today, and Best Homes Real Estate employs more than 250. Throughout our conversation, Alan shares how he found success with the expired listings and the insight he has learned building his own business. Now, before we get on to today's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to today's featured interview with Alan Kushmakov. I've included links to all of his social channels and website if you're interested to learn more. Just kind of getting started out, could you introduce yourself to us a little bit, who you are and where you're at in the country?
Well, my name is Alan Kushmakov. I'm a CEO of Best Homes Real Estate. I've been in business for about 9.5 years. So I got licensed back in 2013. Started as a sole agent for about 3 years. First year was very difficult, like for a lot of agents out there. Well, you have agents that kind of like in two different camps, right? You have agents that, the first month or two, they're getting 1 or 2 deals from their sphere, right? They're happy about it. But you also have agents like me, where for the first 5 or 6 months, I didn't generate a check. So it was tough. 3 kids under age of 5 at that time. My daycare bill alone was $2,100. My mortgage was another $2,000. The 2 car payments was $1,000. So $5,000 going out, no income. And then my dad was diagnosed with cancer. I had some health issues as well because of all the stress, and it was not an easy road that first year, to be honest with you. But the way I was able to build that business from that point on was calling expireds and cancels. So I read a book, that red book that pretty much everybody is familiar with. And the biggest takeaway from that book was the fact that everything starts with the listings, right? With the seller leads. And I was like, all right, I gotta focus on the listings. I gotta get seller leads. Well, in 2013 and 14, the expireds and cancel listings were plentiful. There were so many of them, right? The market wasn't a rebound. It wasn't as it was a year ago, 2 years ago, where everything was just selling left and right. So what I did every single day is at 7 o'clock, I would show up in the office. At 7:15, I was role playing. At 7:30, I would pick up the phone and start dialing. They're saying, dialing and smiling, or smiling and dialing, right? One of those. I won't lie, was rejected left and right. There were days and weeks that I was questioning, what am I doing, right? Why this has to be so difficult and so hard. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever tried calling expireds and cancels, but it's not a walk in the park. It's tough, because a lot of them had their hopes and dreams pretty much kind of like just went into trash, if you will, because the other agent was not able to sell their house for 5 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years, right? So it was tough, but I didn't give up. I was building my pipeline. And then after month number 5, I got my first listing. It was a $100,000 listing, Michael, right off 83rd Avenue in Camelback. And it was a $2,500 commission check. Mm-hmm. Super excited about that. That was my first deal that I closed. And it was from expireds or a cancel listing. And from that point on, I think by the end of the year, I closed 16 transactions. Most of them were expireds, cancels, with some for sale by owners and open houses. The second year, I doubled my production to 35 transactions. The third year, I doubled it again to 75 transactions, did a little bit over $20 million in sales with an assistant. And then, I started investing in some of the buyer leads, online buyer leads, and kind of felt like, man, there's just so much work, going out there and showing homes to the buyers. So I always was listing heavy. For me, listings is the way to go. I'm not saying this right now, to be honest with you, but at that time I was like, no, I just focus on the listings. I started looking for some help. So I hired 4 showing agents. I was paying them $25 to $35 per door. Those showing agents eventually became my agents. And that's how I started a team, Alan Care Realty Group team. Did that for about 3.5, 4 years, made every single mistake in the book. The first 2 years, the first year I hired 5 agents, and by the end of the year, 1 left. Yeah. And the entire year we did I think 97 deals or 96 deals. And out of those 97 deals, I did 87 myself, and 5 agents did 10 or 11 deals. It was just not the best feeling in the world, right? Having all those 5 agents and they're not doing that much business. The second year I doubled. I hired 10 agents. By the end of the year, 3 left. Again, I was thinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing? Maybe I should blow this thing up. Maybe I should just be a solo agent, top producing solo agents, and have 2, 3 assistants doing all that stuff. But that was not really my calling. My calling, was I want to help individuals. I want to help agents. I want to develop agents. I want to mentor agents. I want to coach agents, right? And that's really where I enjoy, even right now, I mentor my agents aside from the mentors that we have here. And that's really kind of number one thing that I really focus on, right? So did the team for about four years, but here's what was happening. I would bring on agents that were either new or struggling, and some of them didn't work out, but some of them also actually after about a year or two started closing 20, 25, 30 transactions a year. And then after year number 2 and 3, they would be leaving me, and they would be leaving my team, but staying with my brokerage. And the reason they were leaving is not because they didn't enjoy working with me. They were leaving because they didn't see the opportunity for growth within a team. They want to start their own teams. They want to build their own brand. They didn't want to pay 2 commissions, one to the team leader and one to the broker, right? So I would be losing these agents, and to replenish those agents with another high producing agent is tough, right? So you have to start from the scratch. You got to start from bringing in the brand new agent or a struggling agent. And it takes 1 year to 2 years to develop that agent if you're successful developing that agent. A lot of times it's hit and miss, right? So I said, look, I'm tired of getting capped. I'm tired of losing these agents. What is my ultimate exit strategy? Right? I'm attracting these agents as a team leader. I'm spending time in terms of developing them, providing tools, providing resources, creating this environment where they can flourish, have this positive environment, really good culture. What is the end game here? 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, if I were to sell my team, can I really do it? Right. Can I really do it? And the answer was no. I mean, yeah, there are a few outliers here and there. There are a few teams out there that sell, but most of the time you cannot sell the team. So what can I sell then? Can I sell my book of business? I guess you can, but what are you going to get for it? Maybe a referral fee here and there, right? So the only thing that can really sell is a sellable asset. And the sellable asset is the brokerage. It's not the team, it's the brokerage, right? So for me, I was like, all right. And then I was like, all right, if I want to attract better producing agents or high producing agents, if I want to be attracting team leaders, I cannot really do it as a team leader myself. I have to have a bigger opportunity for them. And then another thing was the fact that I'm seeing all this business that I'm sending to my mortgage company that I'm affiliated with, and I'm sending the business to the title company and escrow company affiliate, and I'm not really getting anything in return. I mean, I'm getting a couple of things here and there, but really not that much. I was like, wait a minute. If I'm originating all this business within my team and I'm sending that business and they're closing all these deals and then looking at their P&Ls and looking at their revenue, how much money they're making, I was like, why am I not getting a piece of that? Right. Why can I own a piece of the mortgage company? Why can I own a piece of title company, an insurance company, right? So for me, those were all aha moments. And in 2020, on January 14th, I started my own brokerage called Best Homes Real Estate. And since then, we brought in probably about 250 agents into the company. We have 3 locations right now in Arizona. We're in the process of opening up multiple locations around the country. And about a year and a half ago, I started my own mortgage company. We have 3 loan officers there right now. And then at the beginning of this year, in March, we did a JV deal with a title and escrow company as well.
Oh.
So as a company, we're always looking to grow. We're looking to attract top talent, develop new talent, individuals that are probably just got licensed, and also creating an environment where they can grow, flourish, and have the opportunity to do similar things. In fact, our agents also have ownership in our mortgage company as well as the title company. It helps with the ancillary income for those agents or passive income for those agents, but also it helps with the retention and having those agents stay here and not go somewhere else.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So a lot to unpack there, right? So kind of getting started, I would just ask you a little bit about, so you said, when you were first kind of being a team leader and bringing on those, getting people and trying to keep them on, obviously that's something that you learned from, and that you really took a lot of, lessons from when building your team and how to, retain these people. And I have to imagine that the ability to have part ownerships in these other things and bring in that passive income has to be a massive, selling point for you.
It is, because look, I mean, at the end of the day, real estate sales is the engine, right? And that's when I speak to the real estate professional, right? Whether they're a brand new out of school or they're struggling or a producing or high producing agent, right? I always have them to really kind of picture this, right? Imagine real estate sales being that engine that is constantly like working, right? And spitting out deals, right? And then you have, for example, deals going to your mortgage company, deals going to the title company, you're getting deals going even to the insurance company. Well, if you're the one who are originating all these deals and you're not getting a piece of that, that's just not fair, right? So for me, when I'm talking to these agents, like, look, you have an opportunity not only to grow your business within our brokerage, but you also have an opportunity to become an owner in a mortgage company, in a title company, and we're in the process of opening up an insurance company as well and doing that too, right? So this way, not only you're making money from selling real estate, but you're also making money from the mortgage, title, and insurance, the ancillary income streams, right? And for me, that was very important because ultimately we want our agents to continue to grow. Like, we have the opportunity for a brand new agent to become an entrepreneur agent. In other words, they have a much bigger split that they keep, right? We have an opportunity for that entrepreneur agent to build a team. I was a team leader. I made every mistake in the book. I feel like I can write a book on that alone. But I also was able to figure things out. And by year number 4, I had 15 agents on my team, right? And we were doing over 200 transactions. So I can share what worked for me, what didn't work for me, right? The good, the bad, the freaking ugly, all those things I can share with somebody who's inspiring or has the plans to start and form a team and scale the team, right? And then, for instance, we also offer an opportunity for them to run their own branch, whether that's the physical branch or it's a virtual branch, right? And ultimately, they can franchise out of us, right? And we can help them to open up their own brokerages, their own locations, not only here in Arizona, but all over the country, right? So if you're an agent, if you're a brand new agent, I'm casting the vision, right, that in the next 24 to 36 to 48 months, you can go from being a brand new agent to actually own your own brokerage, right? It's one thing to help somebody to sling homes for the rest of your life, like most of the brokerages do. And I love most of the brokerages, no disrespect to most of the brokerages, but they teach you one thing: sell more homes, sell more homes, sell more homes, sell more homes. We teach you how to actually build a business, right? How to have multiple businesses that are dependent on your main business, and ultimately buy up assets that will generate income where you can create the wealth that you deserve to have.
Right. And, I think by having somebody like you in those opportunities that, that you afford your agents, I think it definitely helps people get through that, those tough months when they're first starting out. Like you said, those first several months, you're not bringing home, you don't have that paycheck coming in, but you have that. But it's one of those things that with all the other, legs on that stool that you see that are being built for you. It's a trust the process type thing, but you see the process happening in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think environment is so important. Being surrounded by mentors, by the individuals that have already done what you're trying to do is so important, right? And having somebody like me, or having someone like one of our success managers, right, that been there, done that, already doing it at a high level, right? It's so invaluable, right, for a brand new agent or struggling agent, especially with everything that is happening right now. Like in the last 6-7 months, this. I mean, we're experiencing a big shift. Our MLS here in Metro Phoenix area is down by as much as 30%. 30%. I think nationwide, we probably, in terms of a number of closings, we're probably going to be short by at least 1.2, 1.3 million closings. And that's second to a Great Recession, 2008, 2009. Right? So the numbers don't look good. Right? So we need to make sure that our agents are doubling down and tripling down when it comes to the lead gen. Right? If you were used to do 1 open house a week, now you got to do 2, 3 open houses a week, just so you can do the same amount of business. Right? But you need to have, or you got to be a part of that environment that really does that for a living. I'm a broker owner. I'm a CEO of the company. I don't handle the compliance. I have a designated broker for that. But what I handle is those conversations with my agents, right? Mentoring them, training them, setting expectations, managing those expectations, holding them accountable, providing them the tools, the resources that they can utilize right now in 2022, in October of 2022, not what it was a year or 2 or 3 years ago. That worked.
Right. And so talking about that, I'm really interested, you said a lot of your early success came from the expired listings.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting, especially for a conversation now, because I think a lot of those lessons and a lot of those things that people have used with expired listings are very applicable to now and in the future as well. With, I can't tell you how many people just on the street that I live on, they saw all their neighbors be able to sell in 2 or 3 days, and now their house is sitting on that market. It's got that sign that's been sitting there for a few months. And just as the agent, to be able to, head off some of those objections and some of those, angry phone calls you might get. But then later on down the road, if those listings do expire, as the other agent, be able to come in and, kind of set yourself apart.
Well, yeah, I mean, with expireds, and I'm not sitting here, Michael, and saying like you should just focus on expireds. It's not for everyone. In fact, as you probably know, majority of the agents never touched expireds, right? It's not an easy lead source to work on, right? Most of the sellers, they're not happy when you call them, right? If you're going to be calling them, you got to be calling them early, because by 9 o'clock or 8:30, they're pretty much turning off their phone. Right. The key thing is to follow up, right? Most of my expired appointments and listings came not from the initial phone call, but actually follow-ups. That's something that you got to have. You got to have follow-up system in place, right? And then when you're there, you have to be able to educate them in terms of really what is happening in the market now.
Yeah.
Like, do not show them that what has sold 2, 3, 4 months ago. Show them what's currently on the market. What is their competition based on the market, right? And really make the market the bad guy here, right? Say, hey, you know what? I want to get you the top dollar for your house. I really do. I really want to make sure that we get it sold in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm sure, right? You do as well, right? But look, there are 40 other homes just like yours within a mile radius, and they're all priced here. They're all priced here, and they're all priced there. Right? So these are the ones that have been on market for 65, 70 days. As you can see, they're priced a little bit too high, right? These are the ones that are under contract. They price $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 below. Where do you want to be? Do you want to sit on the market for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months and chase the market? Or do you want to be where you can start packing in about 2 to 3 weeks?
Right.
You make that decision, right? Yeah. But it's our job as real estate professionals to have that conversation with the sellers. Not every seller is going to sign up for it, but that's why it's so important to have enough at bats, When I used to go on expired listing appointments, I used to go to 5 a week, 4 to 5 a week. I would sign only one, sometimes two, right? Because the other ones, they were not motivated. They had different price points. They chose another agent, whatever that was. For me, it was just, all right, if I go on 5, there's a good chance I'm going to sign one. But that one would generate 6, 7, 8, 9, $10,000 commission check.
Those same conversations and those same kind of talking points that you could have as you're chasing new expired leads are some of the same conversations that you can have with your current listings that maybe are, if they were somebody that was very stubborn on the listing price or something like that. And hey, you know what? It's just not selling. The market has shifted a little bit. I think those same conversations are things that you can have with your current listing customers as well.
Almost definitely. I mean, as a matter of fact, you got to have a process in place, right? For example, when I used to list homes every single week, like clockwork, they would get an email from me with a list of things that I've done to promote and market their house. Mm-hmm. Every single week, they would get an email from me with the showing feedback that we receive from the buyers and the buyer's agent. Every 2 weeks, I would do a market analysis and send them a market analysis. And if this is time for us to have a conversation about a price improvement or price adjustment, we don't talk about price reduction, it's price adjustment or price improvement. We have that conversation with them. And again, making the market as your bad guy, right? Like, hey, it's not me. I'm showing your house. I'm marketing your house. This is where I'm marketing your home. This is how many showings we had. This is how many open houses we held in the last 2 weeks. It's not about that. It's about the fact that everybody who sees your house looks at 30 other houses that are priced below yours.
Right.
So what are we going to do?
Right. Absolutely. And I think, obviously that has to be some of the feedback that you probably got when you were reaching out to these expired, listings, and you say, hey, what was the issue? What happened with your previous agent? And a lot of it comes down to a lack of communication.
Oh, most definitely. A lot of it had to do with the agent came in, put a sign up front, took a few pictures, overpromised, and then just got lost, or did not have a professional fortitude to have those conversations, those difficult conversations, and say, hey, you know what, guys, we got to adjust the price, right? Most of the expireds are canceled, not all, but most of them, from my experience, are because they were priced too high. It's not the agent who sells the listings, it's the market, right? If it's priced correctly and you do a good job of representing that listing in terms of pictures and doing some marketing, it's going to sell, right? So most of them do not sell because they're high priced, right? And that's the challenge. And that's where we come in, again, as real estate sales professionals. Mm-hmm. That's what we get paid. $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 commission checks, right? But it's our job to do that. And I know it's sometimes difficult, especially when you're a brand new agent or inexperienced agent, but that's why it's so important for you to seek out help, to seek out someone who's going to take you under their wing, whether that's a brokerage, whether that's the team, whether it's a coach or a mentor. Like for me, from day one, I always had either a mentor or a virtual mentor. Initially, it was a virtual mentor. What I mean by that is I was watching YouTube videos of top producers or coaches sharing their scripts, their best practices, and I was just using their approach. I didn't have the money to pay for the coach. Eventually, I was able to hire coaches. And I was very intentional, very strategic with my approach. If I wanted to get really good in converting online buyer leads, I hired a coach. If I needed to really dial in my systems, I hired a coach. If I needed to start recruiting and I wanted to make sure that I recruit on a consistent basis, I hired a coach. I have 3 coaches right now, right? So for me, I make that investment. And that's, I think, with the real estate sales professionals, they have to understand this is their career, this is their business. They will have to make that investment. And there's just so much information out there right now, Michael, on YouTube, podcasts that we're doing right now, books that you guys generating. Like there's so much information there. I mean, if you just immerse yourself into this and take action, things are going to start happening. And it doesn't have to be just expireds and cancels. Like if you right now literally drop me in the middle of Arkansas and I don't have my sphere, I don't have my past clients, I don't have any book of business, I don't have any marketing budget, like nothing, I would be holding open houses on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Why? Because open house is probably one of the most effective ways to get in front of potential buyers and sellers. Right. Why not? Who's going to show up at the open houses? Yeah. Who? It's not going to be somebody who's looking to buy a burger. Right. It's someone who's actually looking to buy a house. Now, not all, but most are there for a reason.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that, especially starting out in a new market or just starting out in your career in general, I mean, what better way to get your face out there, to start to learn some of the ins and outs of the market and the people that live there too. What makes them tick just by being inside those homes and doing those open houses?
Oh yeah. I tell you what, I mean, my first open house was the agent that actually was representing a buyer on my first listing that I listed was $100,000 listing. This guy shows up or pulls up in a really beautiful car. I think it was Mercedes-Benz, elderly gentleman. We started having conversation, me being a brand new agent, I'm asking questions. And I'm like, how are you getting your business? It's like open houses. Mm-hmm. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I do like 4 or 5 open houses a week. I just make my mobile office. I was like, really? And how many deals do you close a month? He's like, I close like 4 or 5 deals. And most of them are from open houses. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, and here's my steps, the way I do things. Wow. The next day, I'm calling an agent outside of my brokerage, Michael, because I didn't have any listings in my area. There was a listing across the street where I used to live. It was a vacant home, been on the market for 60 days. I called the guy up. He's like, yeah, go knock yourself out. I was like, well, I have a little problem or little request. I don't have any open house signs. Can I borrow them from you? He's like, yeah, as long as you return them. I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I borrowed 5 signs. I did the open house. Again, it's not my listing. The couple walks in, Sarah and Dowd, okay? And we started having a conversation. They didn't like the house, but I showed them 2 other houses in the area. We built enough rapport where they're telling me that they're looking to downsize. They're going from a 2-story house to a 1-story house. They need help in selling their house. I go to their house next day. I get a listing for $375. I sell that house in 1 day. In 1 day, I sell that house. They buy a house from me for $565. And since then, they probably, through referrals and then personally, probably did about 12 or 13 transactions with me.
Right. Yeah. And so the wild thing is when I think about open houses as that lead generation source. So like think about what it costs to acquire that one lead. A couple hours, maybe.
Look, I mean, I cannot speak for other brokerages, right? Like in our brokerage, we have a model, we have a partner model, right? And a partner model, basically it's a business in a box. So if you're an agent, if you're a brand new agent or a struggling agent, you come to us and we take care of all of your signs. We take care of your lock boxes. If you have a listing, we'll take care of the pictures for the listing. You have access to the leads. We take care of all the marketing packages. So if you need door hangers, flyers, postcards, whatever it is, we provide all of that to you. All you have to do is just pick up the signs and go and hold open houses.
Yeah.
Like literally, if I'm a brand new agent right now, that's exactly what I would do every single day. And I know I would get better because when you're doing it over and over again, you're going to get better. And my goal when I was holding open houses to get 1 solid nurture, 1 solid lead a week. If I get 1 a week and 4 a month, I know I'm going to be able to close at least 1, possibly 2, or even 3. And that possibly is $10, $15, $20, $30,000 in commission check. Right. Imagine if you're making $30,000 a month, that's over $300,000 a year. That's life-changing for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
What you're doing is open houses.
Right. And like you said, with that first one that you had, how many more deals did that turn into down the road throughout your career? And as that compounds on itself, how the scalability of that is really endless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, like you don't need to have a marketing budget for that. You don't need to even have your own signs. I started doing open houses. I did not have my own signs. I borrowed signs. right? You can borrow it from your brokerage. You can pay $5 or $10 per sign. It's not the end of the world. But doing an open house, especially right now, like right now, we need to get as many leads as possible just to close the same number of deals. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So most of the agents struggle because they do not get enough leads, because they don't get enough at bats, because they don't hold enough open houses, or calling for sell by owners, or expires, or cancels, or sphere, whatever that is. You're just not doing enough of it.
Right.
And as long as you're doing enough of it and focusing on the top of the funnel, instead of trying to figure out why he or she are not buying on the bottom of the funnel, your business is going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
The issue is the agents are still trying to get somebody who promised them they're going to buy 8 months ago, and they're still sitting on the sidelines, and that agent is paralyzed for that 8 buyers in action, and they're like, oh, I don't have a plan B. No, you do have a plan B. Plan B is get more leads.
Right. So as you know, with the people that you bring into your business and the people that you mentor, I think accountability, to do those kind of things and to go after that lead generation is really, is so big to the success of somebody's career. How do you make sure that people are doing those things, that they are thinking of that top of the funnel, activity?
Well, let me share something with you. It may not be popular with the audience. We as leaders, we cannot really motivate somebody to do something that they're not prepared to do themselves, right? So, for instance, when I sit down, or one of my success coaches sit down with an agent, we find out what agent wants to work on, right? And then based on what they tell us, let's say, for example, the agent says, I want to do 3 open houses a week, or I want to do 1 open house a week. Great. For the next 2 months or 3 months, ideally, you're going to be doing 1 open house a week. Yes, I am. Great. So that's your commitment. That's it. And then every 2 weeks, we check with them and see how they're doing. Have you done those 2 open houses in the last 2 weeks? Yes, I did. Great. What were the results? These are the results. Now, if they say, no, I did not. Okay, what was getting in the way? What's holding you back? What was happening? Well, my son got sick. Okay, awesome. Fair enough. Do you want to maybe do 2 open houses this week, or just 1? Well, no, I'm going to do 2 open houses. Great. I'll follow up with you 2 weeks from now. And that's the accountability. The accountability is you let them tell you what they want to do,
right,
and then have them do it. And if they're not doing it, there's nothing that you can do on your end to change that. Our job is to give them the direction and create an environment for them to see the opportunity, utilize the resources and tools that we already give them, and then run with it.
Right.
Our job is not to be a rah-rah speaker or a motivational speaker and telling them constantly they have to do this, 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 this. They don't care about your stuff. They don't care about your to-dos. They have their own to-dos. And some agents are like, look, if I can just sell 1 house every 3, 4, 5 months, I'm happy with it. Cool. You have agents that want to just sell 1 house a month. Why? Because that's an $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 commission check. They're happy with it. Great. But you also have agents that want to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 houses a month. We're going to help you there as well. So we have agents all over the board, right? And we hold them accountable to what really they want to do versus what we want them to do or accomplish.
Right.
And that was different for me when I was a team leader, especially the first couple of years. For me, it was like, okay, this is the plan for you. This is what you have to do, and do not deviate.
Right.
And guess what? Most of them did not do that. They did not follow the plan. Most of them did deviate. Right. And because of that, I was losing some agents. And those agents were still producing, but because I was stubborn, and some of it has to do with the coaching that I was getting, right? I was thinking every agent that I hired should be selling 2 to 3 houses a month, or 24 to 36 houses a year. Most of the agents are not going to be selling that kind of business. And they don't want to sell that much. Right. They want to have work-life balance, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just it definitely seems like in the short amount of time I've talked to you, all of the, just all of that experience that you had, through the beginning of your career, and then, as a team lead and bringing people on and having people leave, it definitely has, helped mold a really great ecosystem that you've created with what you have going on now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it takes repetitions, right? I mean, we got to go through downs, right? And I'm still nowhere near where we want to be in terms of our company, right? We want to be at 1,000 agents in the next 5 years. We want to have 50 loan officers in our mortgage company, right? We want to have at least 100 locations around the country. Like, we want to do things, and we're nowhere near, but the foundation that we have right now, the people that we have within our company, for instance, right? The tools, the resources that we're putting together will allow us to continue to grow. And again, we feel like when it comes to the agents, there are going to be all kinds of agents that are coming in, right? And some agents are going to sell a lot, and there are going to be some agents that are going to sell not much at all. But for us, it's not about that. For us, it's about making sure that the agents get the tools, get the resources, feel like they belong, feel they're part of something, and have the opportunity for growth. Yeah. That's it. Whether they want to take that advantage for these opportunities, it's up to them. We cannot make them to do something that they're just not prepared to do themselves.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. If you could, let me know where people could, reach out if they are interested in, kind of joining that wave as you grow.
Yeah. So, on socials, it's Alan Kushmakov, or at Alan Kushmakov, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think we set up a TikTok, but I don't use it. I think my marketing team, they're trying to make me famous, I guess, on TikTok. Try to make me dance, but I'm not having that. We do have two groups on Facebook. One for the team leaders and broker owners, called Become Best Brokerage, where we drop a lot of value, a lot of information, the stuff that we're doing on a daily basis. And then we have one for the agents called Become Best Agent, where we just share the tips and everything that is working for us and our agents here in the company. So those are the two Facebook groups that are available. Again, my website is besthomesrealestate.com.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks so much, Michael.
I want to thank Alan for taking the time to speak with us today. And remember, if you're interested in seeing more from Best Homes Real Estate, I've added the links in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.